Hello everyone. I still haven't figured out how to activate the timer on the camera, so I have to manually hit the record button. But here I am. This is Lawrence, and I'm doing this review particularly for my friends on the Facebook page called the Elton Knights. And on that page, I made a video of myself opening this gift I received from my sister, a birthday gift, a couple of weeks ago. The Elton John, of course, Rocketman soundtrack. And I showed you the packaging of what it looks like inside. There's Elton doing Crocodile Rock in 1970 at the Troubadour. Him composing your song with Bernie coming in the door there. The melody catching his ear. And they looked at each other and knew they had something special. So that was good. I want to do a review of Rocketman. But first, my sister got me also last Christmas Bohemian Rhapsody. I always have a hard time pronouncing that word, so that's the only time I'll do it for this video. This is a different kind of soundtrack as opposed to Rocketman. Except for one track, Elton does not sing on the Rocketman soundtrack. For this soundtrack, they used the Queen's original recordings. They took some of their greatest hits, their most well-known songs, a lot of live tracks, and they were a great live band, especially the Live Aid stuff and other places too. Some deeper album tracks and some later tracks that didn't get recognition they deserve, and put an interesting collection of Queen music together that's not your typical greatest hits, best of. We got Radio Gaga here, and Yayo! Hammer to Fall, live. So some really good deeper album tracks, and this gives you a like an interesting overview of Queen's music, so it works in that sense. By the way, I love the movie very much. It was done in a more traditional way as opposed to Rocketman, which, of course, all that you know, they use elements of musical and fantasy, and took the songs. They did not put them in order as the way they came out, just instead adapted them to storyline. So we don't have Crocodile Rock in 1972. We have a few years earlier at Elton's debut at the Troubadour Club. Interesting. I loved Rocketman, the movie. I thought it was creatively done, something different than the usual A through Z. This is my beginning. This is my climb to being famous, the downfall, the up again. Type of usual things. I mean, that does happen in Rocketman, but they take elements of fantasy and musical to make it happen. I will put on my glasses. I want to talk about the songs, and I was supposed to get this review up earlier, and I got busy, and I really wanted to hear the album from beginning to end before doing this review, so I did that this morning. And it's the cast members who's the big difference is the cast members are doing the songs. with Taron Egerton, if I pronounce his name right, doing the bulk of the singing. And the reason this works is he's got a good voice that can carry the songs. And Elton's songs music is a bit more is a bit challenging, you know. But he's able to do that. Tehran is able to do that. That's great. I don't think it would have worked if he wasn't able to. This combination, the arrangements, they would stick to the kind of the original arrangements of the song, like Border Song, Tiny Dancer, or they will start off differently than the original arrangements or end differently than the arrangements, which I think that's really, really, really cool. It's makes it more interesting, and it kind of made me think how different these songs would have turned out if if Elton, when he recorded them in the day, had taken a different path. You know, so that's one thing I really noticed. When I listened to it, and the dialogue, the cast members, the different arrangements, a kind of a storyline rock opera came to mind. So I thought of this album here. This is my original copy of the soundtrack to the movie Tommy. It's pretty worn out, battered, but got a lot of miles from this one. And there's even one of the songs from this album is on Rocketman. That's the Pinball Wizard. So when you listen to the Rocketman soundtrack, you're hearing a story of Elton. The dialogue, Reggie, that part. And I love the line when Elton says, "People did not pay to hear Reginald Dwight; they paid to hear Elton John." And that dialogue is in the soundtrack. You got a combination of what was so cool is they pulled some obscure Elton songs out, like Rock and Roll Madonna, which to me sounds more like a boogie woogie Stones Honky Tonk Woman. It's real cool. Thank You for All Your Lovin', which is another obscure one. And of course, you have the more familiar ones. I won't read them all, but The Bitch Is Back, Saturday Night's Life, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Saturday Night Live. Your Song, Crocodile, the usual. Sorry seems to be the hardest word, but this is a good cinematic sound that goes with the movie. If you've seen the movie, you listen to the soundtrack, you can kind of really tie them in together. Miniature, kind of like in a rock opera to me, as I pulled out Tommy. I notice, a couple things I notice is Don't Go Breaking My Heart. The female vocalist or actress who sang that, she sounds a little bit like Olivia Newton-John in that song. And Don't Let the Sun Go Down Me, the female vocal part, I guess the same woman, and the woman who would become Elton's first wife in the movie. She has kind of a light, sweet Olivia Newton-John sound to her voice. And Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Kiki did fantastic job on that song, but if they ever had to if Kiki was not available, she didn't exist. I would think Dusty Springfield could have been great on that as well. But I'm not here to change history. I love talking about changing the arrangements and everything. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It starts off very dramatic. Dun 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 with the vocals. What are you're gonna come down? And before it goes into the more familiar way we heard the original version, and where it becomes some, like strings and orchestra big. That was a pinnacle moment, important moment in the film, because that was, as in the song, examining your fame, success. Where has it brought me? Maybe I need to retreat back some, and in the movie, when they do this song, Bernie sings the line. He's the one that's evaluating this fame and say, oh, maybe this is not so great. Maybe I need to go back some, retreat. And Elton wants to hold on, but eventually he sees the light. And this is the point where he goes into rehab, comes out, I'm still standing, which was actually a song that came out on Too Low for Zero, 1984. And I guess for that time, it was like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still Elton John. But here, I just went into rehab. I kicked my habit. I have a new outlook in life. I cleaned up my life. And look, I'm still standing. So it all ties in nicely. Okay, the bitch is back. And Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. Instead of guitar, you have chorus singing. More of that. Your song is very nice. I really like Tiny Dancer, and especially the version of Take Me to the Pilot. Those two pretty much stuck to the script of the original recordings. I really like Hercules a lot, that version. Now, none of these will ever take the place of the original, but I thought Hercules had a few more touches than the original. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. I noticed a few times in the movie, Elton would start a song by just hitting one note, and that happens with The Sun Don't Go Down on Me. The only surprise was a little just wondering why they didn't use Someone Saved My Life Tonight, because that was an important time in Elton's early life as he was trying to get his career off the ground. That somebody talked him out of a marriage that would have been disastrous. They did show that his fiancee kicking him out of the apartment when he reneged on the marriage. And so that was interesting. They could do a little snippet of that somewhere. So this is very interesting album to go with the movie. It comes off more like a bit of a rock opera, is in the vein of Tommy, of telling a story, the dialogues from the cast members. I will just also conclude, Giles Martin produced this album, the son of George Martin, and Giles been doing really great work with the anniversary Beatle releases, album releases. Um, um, and his work on this album is great. I was impressed with the music itself, the musicianships, and I looked at the list of players. I did not recognize any of them, but I guess they are people who are um, session players in the industry, and that's all been great. So I recommend this album if you want to get deeper. If you really like the movie but you want to explore the soundtrack, it's worth it. And I hope that Taron, he's such a good vocalist. I hope he does go into some music and record a few albums, and I'm sure Elton will encourage him and help him if he wanted to do that. He doesn't quite have he's able to reach all those peaks and lows, and it's almost like he's channeling Elton, or he's going to get right in there, but he doesn't quite have the tone of Elton's voice, and but that's all right. He did a great job. So that's my review. I've been listening to this Elton's last studio album, and that sounds good. And I'm glad Elton picked up a couple of awards, prestigious awards for best original songs. I'm going to Love Me Again. I hope that encourages him once he gets off the road to still produce music in the studio and be like a studio creative artist. So we'll see. I shouldn't be asking any more music from Elton because I'd be so selfish because he's given us so much. But any project that he's involved with musically, I always will be interested in. Thank you so much for watching this review. And I know it ran a little bit long, but I had so much to talk about. Your comments are welcome. Take care. Bye bye.